Greetings everyone. I am Rishita Dasgupta. I will be your moderator today for the fifth talk show on the Presidency Dialogue Talk Show series on G20 by the Amicus Curie. Before moving on with today's session, I would like to read out certain guidelines that will be followed throughout the meeting. Please try to keep your videos on during the session. Keep yourself muted during the session. You can unmute and can ask questions to the speaker during the questionnaire round only. If the speaker allows you to ask the question in between, you can do it, but it is up to the discretion of the speaker. I, on behalf of the Amicus Curie, welcome you all for today's session. Before beginning of the session, let's introduce the Amicus Curie. The Amicus Curie is the brainchild of several legal luminaries and eminent personalities across the country and the globe. The Amicus Curie is a dream online platform which aims at proliferating legal knowledge and providing an ingenious understanding with cognizance of various fields of law to make sure that legal knowledge and experience penetrates to every nook and corner of ever-growing legal fraternity. Through ambitious and studious legal brains across the country, the Amicus Curie aims at providing valuable contribution to contemporary legal issues along with development in the omnipresent field of law to the masses. We are also registered under Indian Partnership Act 1932 and Ministry of MSME, Government of India, and are also an ISO 9001 2015 organization. The Amicus Curie is presently the eighth largest legal website in India. We are connected to more than 20,000 law students from across 80 plus law schools in India. Now, we will introduce with you all about today's speaker, that is Raj Shekhar Singh. Sir is currently working as Policy and Research Associate at Y20 India, the official youth engagement group of G20 India. He has previously worked with the Commonwealth Youth Council India, where he worked for introduction of a refugee protection law in India. He has also been an active contributor in the social impact arena, where he was a part of the Millennial Fellowship class of 2022, an initiative by United Nations Academic Impact. His works have been featured on various reputed platforms such as University of Oxford, London School of Economics, NALSA, etc. Now, with permission of our esteemed speaker, I would like to continue with today's session. Over to you, sir.
Hello, Rishita. Thanks a lot for the introduction. It's indeed a pleasure today sitting in front of such a lovely crowd of people and talking about today's topic. And I would be more than glad and special thanks to everyone who joined in today. It's really great to see so many people up in here today. Thanks. Over to you, Rishita.
Yes, sir, you can continue with the session.
Sure. So, okay, guys. So, I guess the guidelines were read out, but I would again encourage everyone who wants to ask questions at the very between that they could unmute themselves and raise their hands or something, and we can like have some questions in between itself. Okay. So, before moving forward in today's session, I'm pretty sure everyone is well aware of the fact that India has the presidency for the G20 this year, and I hope everyone knows that, right? So the best thing about this year's G20 was that for the first time it's India that is having the presidency up in here. And before we move forward with this, I would like to put up a very brief explanation of what kind of like how the G20 actually functions and how we are a part of the G20 in this respect. So, as we all know, the G20 is actually a pretty much close collaboration of 20 nations, including the European Union, which has its own set of nations in there as well, which work towards certain promotion of interest of all those people in the world. Now, under the G20, we also have different working groups. So we have the L20, which deals with the labor issues in these countries. We have the Y20 or the Young 20, where I was a part of the team itself. So there are a lot of different kinds of working groups which are under this, and I'm a part of the Y20 or the Young 20, which deals with the issues of the youth in these G20 nations. Now, my work primarily in the Y20 is actually to go and look for the policy and research wing. So now I'm pretty sure that most of the people who have joined us today would be from the law background. But however, if there are certain people who are not from the law background, for them, we need to understand that there's a thing called as a white papers where we actually put forward the contentions, the problems that we have, and we deliberate on the policies that could actually help in resolving those issues over the longer periods of time. Now, for the Y20, we have worked on a lot of themes regarding. One of them was the shared future of youth and democracy. Then we also had topics like climate protection. We also had topics which included one of them was the future of work or the Industry 4.0 standards. Then there was peace building and war was one of the other topics as well. So today's discussion we have primarily kept restricted to the future of work and innovation in the Industry 4.0 standards that is upcoming in future, right? So, having worked on the white papers myself, I had the privilege of coming across a lot of data and statistics which not everyone has access to, into the fact that there are a lot of non-governmental organizations, the NGOs per se, which work in these fields, and they have their statistics which are not made available to the public but are only shared with the government. So we had access to all of those. Now, for the topic of Industry 4.0, I'm very sure that half of the people in this webinar would have at a point or the other come across the usage of chat gpt and the other ai related developments that have been taking place lately. So the problem that the industry 4.0 right now poses is that the traditional means of the industry that or the future of work that which you have envisioned all this while, the entire idea has changed over a period of time. For example, I am very sure that 10 years before, no one of us would have thought that we could get the food that we want delivered to our addresses, and that too within 20 minutes. And with the certain other apps such as Blinkit, Dunzo, all in the market, the same is being done in 2 minutes, which is just very fascinating to see. Now, even though we are into the sort of the professional category of people who work, there are other people who work into these labor markets as well, which includes the normal day-to-day daily laborers, the other the other less demanding skill jobs where people actually work, which are pretty prone to replacement by the AI and other things. So even in the Y20, we had a huge deliberation on what exactly would be the future of work. Now, for dealing with an issue, right? Something which is as huge as what is going to be the landscape of employment in the future, or what is the going to be the trajectory of people getting opportunities in the recent future, we have to first understand as to what are these changes. Only then can we get into the idea of how to deal with them exactly. So initially, when we were looking into the problem, the first thing we found was that there is a huge technological disruption which is being caused today. For example, it could be because of the introduction of the neural networks, the artificial intelligence technologies, the World Wide Web and integration with the different kinds of things and other things on this point. So what we actually understood was that for anyone to stand up or to like be future proof in their employment categories that they are doing today, they have to be well aware and also well connected to these technological developments as well. Now, when I say connected and aware, does not just mean that okay, I know about chat gpt, I know that okay, there is something xyz that exists in the digital space out there and that's it. No, the thing, especially for people like us, the youth of today, is that we do not just have to be aware of what is happening with those things, but rather we also have to take in consideration as to whether we are sort of connected to them. For example, I am pretty sure most of you would have been using YouTube for the past 2 or 3 months. Now, every time you watch a video, you will get a plethora of ads which will tell you about upskill yourself, learn new skills, get into data science, get into data analytics, and all these things. So, this is what exactly I was referring to, being one with the technology that exists today. So, what we actually came out with a solution to this curve of employment that would come in the upcoming years was that there are three major words which we have referred to. The first being unlearn, relearn, and reskill. So, these three words have to be seen in a pyramidical sense that first we have to unlearn whatever we know as of today. Then we have to relearn those things from the perspective of what is happening around us. And after relearning those things, we have to reskill ourselves into a way so that we can actually develop the requisite skills for dealing with the same. Um, I'm not sure about how many of you are working currently into the law, whether you are a law students. But even if you're a law student, I am 100% sure that you would have gone through your internships and other places. So one thing which you would very much come across, like, see, I am majorly connected to the corporate sphere. So my kind of internships are one where you have to be very research intensive in half of the works that you do. So the fact is that there are a lot of other people out there too whom we are competing with for a job. For example, let's say in a tier one internship, you are dealing with close to 40 people into a batch of interns. That too a very conservative number, depending on that too 40 people per team, and a particular firm can have more than one team which is offering an internship. So there can be close to 200 or 300 people into a particular internship slot who are competing for a placement offer from that particular firm. Now, who among these are going to succeed? Is it the one who works the hardest, or is it going to be the one who is really bright, or is it going to be the third person who is actually smart? Now, I would always say that the person who is smart would make it easily out there. Reason being that, for example, let's have a hypothetical situation for this. Let's have a moderator for this. If Rishita is there, Rishita offers is let's assume Rishita for a time being is my boss. So I go to her and Rishita tells me that okay, Raj, go and research on XYZ and prepare me a particular modular research note on this and share it to me by the EOT. I said, fair enough. I go back to my desk. I start working on it like a very normal law student, and I will just work on it day and night. I will just go through plenty of pages on pages and pages, and then I will find and sort of compile everything that I get into it, and I may give it to Rishita. Now, there's a high chance that whatever I did was pretty up to the standard, and it was fair enough for what Rishita asked me to. But it took me almost 4 hours to do that particular task. Now, with the recent development in technology, it's very easy to go and find out something. Now, the same case again. I am someone who is smart. Let's assume. Let's assume I would say that. I am smart on that. So I go and I get into that work. I use keywords for my search. I deploy my artificial intelligence scanners through it, and I sort of instead of reading through the plethora of materials available there, I just sort it out in a way so that I have an easier access to all the information that was given. So I was able to produce the same result within 1.5 hours. And it's very striking to note that if as a first person, went and submitted it to my boss, and I again as a second person went and submitted it to my boss, and my boss looks at both those results, which is a very common practice, and he finds that I was able to deliver the same thing within 1.5 hours, which the other person delivered in the upcoming 4 hours. So the point that I was smart enough and efficient enough in my work would provide me an edge over the people. So this is what is the integration of technology into everyday space. It's very easy for you now that even though beforehand we had to go through the hassle of search engines, the various links that came about, visit them manually one by one and figure out which one were relevant and which were not. But now, with the introduction of even, right, I guess a few days back, Microsoft introduced their Bing search engine with the integrated AI technology in it, which is second generation of Chat GPT because it has access to internet now as well. So these kinds of things are not just something which you have to just see and use for leisurely purposes only. This can be very good professional tools which can help you upskill yourself. This was the point of where we forget how to do things normally. So it was our first agenda of unlearn. So the idea that you have to go through 20,000 pages only, then you can make a competent research has to be forgotten about. We have to unlearn that teaching which was given to us. The next skill comes as relearn. Now, what I do is I try to learn the more efficient part to the same thing. I'd learn how to go and deploy these search engines or use these chatbots or use other things and all the considerations out there for searching my particular query. After that, I reskill myself, which is beforehand, a person who could have read on a very higher pace would have made it into the team. Now, with the introduction of the AI, anyone could do that. So the point of how precisely I could use keywords or how precisely I could use the combination of keywords would be the game breaker in the same thing. So I have to develop this new skill now. So this was our three major competent areas which we pointed out in the very start of how to develop things when it comes to such kind of future of work developments. Now, again, a very big misconception which has been floated around in the world is that AI is going to replace us, or that the low the all those employment opportunities where the human involvement or the human intellectual involvement is not very high enough are going to be diminished in the upcoming years. For example, people who are involved in handling of the goods will be replaced, and then those people will lose their jobs and all those things. But I can say this very safely right now, even on this platform, that this is not happening for the next, let's say, 10 years at least. Reason being that the kind of AI we are dealing with today, even though it's very capable, very independent, it's not flawless. We have seen whether it be the self-driving cars or whether it would have been the security bots which were deployed in Europe a few months back, all have failed. So even though such kind of things would come into the more mechanical picture, they might replace the more mechanical tasks, but at the same time, they would create more job opportunities. For example, even though the 100 people were required for doing one particular job, and now 100 machines have been put in place, to monitor those 100 machines, you would again need 20 people. So what is happening with the future of work is that there is, even though there is of course a diminishing rate of employment as to how many humans would be put into that place, but at the same time we are also getting more and more kinds of jobs. Like different categories of job are popping up. So that is where our idea of reskill and relearn, as the principles or the three major principles we have quoted, reskill and relearn was to be implemented. For example, you were supposed to learn the idea of how to sort things in your XYZ school. Now, instead of learning that, because it has grown absolute over the coming period of time, so you will just go there and learn the idea of management of data, data analytics, how to look after the machines, how to look after their workflow, and etc. So the point that in the future itself, the entire workspace is surely going to change. There is no denying, and there are clear cut projections that a lot of changes would come into the overall development. However, what actually you have to do as youths of today for getting a short employment in the future is to reskill and relearn with the requisite skill sets that is required as of today. Now with this I would also point out to the development of another phenomenon which we saw for quite a while, that was gig economy. Now, gig jobs, anyone has any idea? Anyone can unmute yourself and let me know if they have idea about gig economy or what gig workers are. Yeah,
Gig
sure.
workers are mainly people who does a particular thing, but not as their main job or main thing. They have a main job, but gigs are like in the side that they used to make some extra money on the side.
Yeah, sure. So, in simply put forward, like for the other people to understand, it's kind of a job which is not a regular employment. It's more of a part-time job, as we have seen, right? We just go and get into it and do not get the employment. So now with this, again, with this, we have problems of, if you're not a regularly employed person, you might also miss out on a lot of benefits of it that a regular employment or the laws for such regular employment provide you with. However, that's a topic for later on discussion. What I'm talking right now is about gig economy and its development. So, right from people delivering Zomato orders, or people delivering Swiggy orders, or even some people who are driving the bike taxis for Rapido, Ola, Uber, all those things, they all come into this gig economy. Now, over a period of time, what is very fascinating to note is that youth like us do not want to be shackled on these 9 to 6 jobs. So what they are trying to do is that instead of working for one job itself from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., they are trying to shift to the gig form of work where they work for whatever period they want to, and how they earn as much as they want to, right? For example, it's very easier for me to earn 1,000 bucks a day if I go on delivering orders in the morning and then riding a Rapido in the evening, and then towards the night I am doing some XY kind of a job, and that too at a point of time where I am not bound to my employer and I am the sort of boss of my own, where I can do things in whatever way I want and I could do things in whatever time I want. So the rise of the gig economy has also provided a lot of problems. For example, if you are very aware of the kind of laws that exist between the minimum wage or the kind of things about your retirement benefits, the employees get a lot of benefits in that regards in the private sector, especially, and even the government jobs. So these people, especially the gig workers, they hugely miss out on that. But that's again a trade off between flexibility and the benefits that you would get. So again, for the gig rise of the gig economy also, now they are the different kinds of skill sets that you have to learn. So again, the same three principles come into the picture. Now, apart from that, because we had a kind of a stage where there were international delegates, there were people from a lot of other countries who were talking about things. So what happens in India is very different from what happens in Europe, and what happens in the Middle East is very different from what would happen in South Asia. So when we had deliberations with them, when we had our technical sessions, we came to know a lot of different things about, like, which were very different in the other countries. For example, DoorDash, as it functions in the West, is very different from our Swiggy and Zomato models in India. But at the same time, what we actually saw that the fundamental of the entire development or the trajectory of these future of work opportunities that were coming up were pretty much the same. So on this, there were again a lot of suggestions put forward by the minister, the heads of the different states who were participating. They called for a global collaboration between the people. They called for a overall skill share development, vagera, vagera, all those things in the same line. So the point was that at this point of time, especially at the turn of the century, or like even we have just started on this 2020 is 23 right now, and we are assuming that by 30 the AI would be very advanced, and the other technological developments that have been taking place would also be far ahead of what they are doing right now. What is the three major principles again, which we have pointed out before also, the principles of unlearn, relearn, and reskills. These are going to be the guiding factors for the entire youth who are going to be looking forward to these changing spheres of employment in the upcoming future. Apart from that, if we look at India and India's response to this entire changing contours of employment in the future, I'm sure that there are a lot of you would have heard about initiatives like the Skill India movement, right? So the entire idea of Skill India movement was to inculcate these skills which the future youths would need for development, or like for moving forward with doing greater things as to what they're supposed to do right now. Apart from that, we also the Digital India movement, where we have sort of digitized the entire workforce or the entire things that we could digitalize over the period of time. I mean, I can tell you by a personal experience that it was very difficult to get a train ticket in 2011 because the website was never had the capacity to uphold the kind of bookings that were made. But as of today, on a very normal internet connection also, you are very able to go and access those internet websites and things, and that has been a great initiative by the government all this while. Apart from that, I am like this is something which law schools have missed out on, but the entire idea of the startups, right? I'm not sure if anyone of you has a. I would really love to hear from you guys as to if anyone of you who is a law student has a close friend from the law background itself who is working on a startup. Yes, yes, Manjunath, you can unmute yourself.
Hello,
Yes,
hello, good evening, everybody.
good
There
evening.
is a
Good evening.
professor. I hope he is a professor, Dr. Kalpesh from GNLU. He is working on the lines of startup in various sectors in India, especially in Gujarat.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is a network going on in WhatsApp and also various channels, various social media channels. I can share you the number in the group.
Sure, sure, sure. So, the point on this, sorry, yeah, the point on this was that even in law, when we look at this our field, because I am also associated to law field itself, so something which I've really seen that we have missed out on is our entrepreneurial spirit. Not a lot of people go out for these sort of risky ventures. Everyone is happy with a litigation job, or like go and get a corporate job, or prepare for a judicial services and things. So, but when it comes to the other national institutes of eminence, which include the Indian Institutes of Technologies, the IIMs and things, there is a lot of startup incubation culture which has developed there. Even the government has been actively helping these people with their grants. There have been challenges upcoming. The Niti Aayog has been very actively helping all these startups and the incubation cells across different IITs. And I'm sure I have a few of my friends from IIT, especially IIT Madras, who have developed some really world class technologies on this. So this was again another thing which we wanted to point out towards the 4.0 work culture for industry in the upcoming years, is that we would see more of a person driven opportunities rather than corporate driven opportunities, because the corporates would actually involved in the traditional ecosphere itself. However, at the same time, there would be there needs to be, I mean, it's not an option for us. There has to be a growth in the startup incubation culture that India upholds right now. And we have been seeing really some one of the great numbers when it comes to the kind of unicorns we have been producing of late. So that's a very good sign for all of us. However, all these seen into the entirety is that even though we are on the right path, it's just the point that we have to still cover a lot of distance in this. Apart from that, I guess speaking for the law students again, see, honestly speaking, our profession is the safest when it comes to all these AI developments and all the technological things, because it does take time. But we have also seen the introduction of the video conferencing, and if you guys might be aware, the Apex Court, the Supreme Court of India, is also planning on very soon introducing the idea of having a separate digital bench itself, like a bench which will always hear the cases through online activities or the video conferencing software itself. Also, we have seen such things happening in West, especially in US, where a very recent trial was conducted on Meta. They conducted an entire court trial on Meta, where they discussed a lot of things with the people out there, and then there was a verdict was given. The judge was there, the jury was sitting. So it's all very fascinating, and to predict something as to what would happen in the upcoming years is very difficult, looking at the trajectory and the growth rate of the technology and the integration that we have seen of late. However, the most important thing would be that we have to start to be less rigid, because as lawyers, I am pretty sure most of us would be very rigid and very traditional when it comes to the way we work. We want printouts for things, we want papers, we want files, we want hard copy bare acts, we want books to refer to, and a lot of things on that point. But there has to be a change. Might be we can move forward with a well integrating some kind of AI thing. I won't name the firm, because there it's kind of an insider thing, but there's a firm in India which has deployed an AI based neural infrastructure into its offices, where it has collected data about the kind of judges and their previous judgments and things. And then it has compiled it in such a way that if you give your case, the name of the judge, the day and the time on which the hearing is to take place, the AI can very easily predict as to what is the success percentage. So that again is a very breakthrough thing. But let's hope such kind of things come into our field, especially in the law, because I have been waiting for such things to happen, but unfortunately the pace is too slow for that. But I hope that we adapt to the different changes that we are moving through right now. So I would be really glad if someone can come up and interact about the what are their questions about what is the future of work going to be, or if you have any questions related regarding to that. You can just raise your hands and ask questions, if that would be easy for you. Uh, is there anyone who has to have any questions on this? So, has anyone been following the Y20 of late? I mean, the white papers are already out. India's perspective and the G20 nations' perspective are also out in the public domain. Has anyone had the time to go through them? Because I was involved in the Y20 white papers compilation, so I would really be glad to hear if people have some suggestions on them. Yes, I guess there's a someone has raised their hand. You can unmute yourself and speak, not an issue. Someone has raised a hand, right, Rishita? I guess Arnav.
Yes, sir, a lot of them.
Yes, Arnav, please go ahead. Am I audible?
Sir, I think he's having some technical issue. You can move on with another participant or another speaker.
Yes. So the other person who has raised his hands is Miss.
Manjunath has also
Manjunath.
raised his hand.
Mr. Manjunath, you can unmute yourself and speak. I guess maybe I guess they have some technical issues or something. They cannot hear us for that. So, any other one? Any other person who has any questions? Or like if you also have to have questions regarding Y20, if you want to associate with it, if you have to work for it, or like how you can contribute to the G20 and India's perspective on it, we'll be more than glad to help on that as well. Because I work especially with the law and policy, the research and policy thing. So people who have a law background, you are much needed there because even I have felt that there are a lot of people, much more, especially young people, because that is one thing which is very sad for our country that the youths who want to do something for the country only see UPSC as the only option out there for getting and doing something on there. But I would expect the other people who are in this meeting right now, especially law students, to come at and tell us if you want to be part of the Y20 or if you have sort of want to work towards any of the things which are associated with it.
Yes, sir. Can you share on how to join Y20 and how to work with them?
Okay, so telling you about my experience as to why I was made a part of the Y20. So when you work for the research and policy, I also, as I told you, the Y20 is the official youth engagement group for G20 India, and we are a team of close to uh, 12 people, including my higher ups, who have been selected on the basis of their experience previous beforehand on their working with the research and policy across different teams. So for Y20, how the things work is that when the Y20 the team was made, so Ajay Kashyap ji, who is the head of, he's a convener for Y20. So he appointed a team of other people who were the five bosses that we call them as the secretaries across the different departments, which include policy and communication, partnerships, and then Ms. Drishti Rawal, who is my superior in this, and She's a secretary for research and policy at the Y20 India. So I have been I guess Rishita already informed you that I have been previously working with the Commonwealth Youth Council regarding the refugee affairs, and then I have also been working for my state government for the past. I worked with my state government of Jharkhand for past 9 months regarding the different kinds of legislative and the policy issues that were into my state, and we also sort of created a delegated legislation which is now in force in my state. So for that, because of my previous experience with working, I was appointed as an associate at that place. However, apart from me and my position, there are also positions such as the assistants and the interns who work and are generally allotted work for the different purposes which the research associates provide them with. So what anyone who wants to be a part of this Y20 thing could do is if you have previous experience. So now again, experience is a must because what we are doing is a very sensitive and very crucial work because it's a sort of work which reflects India and its values on the global stage. So the documents, the white papers that we prepared would be sent to all the G20 countries whose state government who's like the other people in those countries would be reading through them as well. So whatever work we do is a representation of what India thinks and what India wants. That is why experience is one of the major criteria on which you are selected. So people who have a previous working experience on policy and research. Now this can be anything. It can be purely corporate policy and research, or it could be also be legislative policy and research. Anything of that sort can apply by writing to policy@rate y20india.in. You just send a mail in there, and based on that, as and when the vacancies open up, because we do not keep vacancies open up. If we have vacancies, then we have close to 500 or 600 applications for one position. So that's a lot of applications to go through. So many times we don't even have vacancies because we generally sort through the same applications that have come forward. However, if you want to be a part, I would strongly suggest that keep a track on the LinkedIn page of Y20 India because that is where we mostly point about the vacancies. And once there is a vacancy about there, you can apply as per the instructions provided in that particular post. So you have to have two things. One is prior experience in these fields, and second, you have to be enthusiastic because you are going to be working for your country, and that's a very important position, and you just cannot be. I mean, you have to be very attached to that particular position. You have to contribute towards the nation building. Apart from that, any other questions? I guess there are two other hands. Oh, yeah, the same people. There's some issue with their. Anyone else has any questions regarding the Y20 or the kind of other topics related, other questions related to the topic itself? So we have a question from Anirudh. Is introduction of AI and IT in legal field safe enough for delivering a fair and unbiased justice? Yes, again, Arnav, again, Anirudh, it's a very good question because I have been also very skeptical about the same because if you look at how AI actually works, what we believed earlier was that AI is nothing but a representation or outcome of the data sets that we feed into it. And there have been instances where AIs have really sort of acted in a biased manner based on the kind of data that was fed into them. So, talking about AI and IT, I believe that right now we are working towards, like, even when we talk about the neural networks. So that's why I told you for the next 10 years we are still safe. The reason behind it is that the AI is still not conscious enough to understand about whatever things are happening around it without humans feeding data into it. So in the current state, of course, introduction of AI and IT in the legal field would not be a good option. But who knows what happens 10 years down the lane? Maybe we could have an AI which has the potential to break the barriers of this outgrown boundaries which have been imposed on them and think out of the box and act for itself. Because see, end of the day, if AI is fallible, so are humans. That is why we have an appeal mechanism for the same as well. So what could be a very good option for implementation of AI in the near future could be introducing it in the lower codes first, so that even if there are errors which occur, even if there are problems which occur, the same could be appealed before the benches of the High Court or the benches of Supreme Court, as the case may be. So that is one of the ways the AI and the IT could actually be implemented in the legal field, and there could be a harmonic way of introducing it in the next decade or so. Then we have a question from Riddhi. Would there be any legal implication related to gig work? Okay, yes, Riddhi. I guess the problem with half of the gig works is that they are very unregulated. Now, I do not know how closely you all follow the news, but if you may know, in Maharashtra, Rapido is already banned. So is the case with Kolkata, so in West Bengal and many other states. Now, the thing is that even though it's half of the gig economy, even though there are a lot of other gig opportunities where you can work legally, there are many other upcoming or the things which come up very soon about it is that they are not well regulated. Now, with implication, one of the major implications of gig economy, as I already pointed out before, that is the fact that it sort of fails to provide the requisite protection or the level of protection that an employee would get, right? For example, if you are working for a particular company for close to 5 or 6 years, there are legal regulations for it. There
Bangalore में
are
passport
legal
number चाहिए
obligations on the employer to provide you with
passport number
TS.
चाहिए
There are
passport
legal
चाहिए
regulations to have
number
some kinds of other funds for you saved up, so that when you resign or when you move up, you have some kind of gratuity in their hand to actually move forward and do things on your
हाँ
own.
passport का
So
दो
that's one of the things. However, at the same time, there's also it also needs to be noted that
Mami आता
we
है कितने
cannot
बच्ची
say directly that there's a
जीते
legal
बच्ची ना
implication for
और
gig
लास्ट
work.
में
But as of now, because the gig works or the gig economy itself is a very nascent in its very nascent stages in India, that's what I would call, because it's been here for, I guess, maximum of 5 or 6 years. It will take some time, but there will be surely a
और
harmonization
बोला
between the existing laws and the gig work. For example, even I guess 2 days back, the government introduced the there have been a spree of laws that will be introduced pretty soon. One of them would be the Digital India Act. Then we also have the DPDP bill, which is already upcoming. And then a lot of laws are being released to meet these changes in the way we are seeing things, or the we are sort of assuming things would turn out in the future. So all we can do is right now sit back and see as to what the legal developments occur. And but yeah, right now there are a lot of problems. There are problems of moonlighting, people
passport
simultaneously
तो
doing
बोलता
two jobs, or like doing a job and then sort of performing a gig work, so which is not allowed as per a lot of terms and conditions in many of the employment contracts. So there are like Wipro case. I'm sure many of you have listened about the moonlighting Wipro case. So these cases are actually something which do reflect on this. However, it will take another 2 or 3 years for things to actually be harmonized in a way that things work pretty comfortably. So okay, so we have another question from Anirudh. Isn't it a disadvantage for a veteran lawyer who is strictly traditional and not reading technology? Won't his thought exactly, Anirudh? But then again, if you believe this, that it's a disadvantage for a veteran lawyer, so I would just quote the lines from my favorite Charles Darwin, who always says this, that uh, like whatever we are doing right now, the entire survival is those of the fittest itself. And I believe that the fittest people in this world would be someone who could keep themselves up with the changing times. So even if it's a veteran
मार
lawyer,
में
just as a
कोटेगा
cherry
तो
on the top,
24
I mean, you're a
hours
veteran
now
lawyer, you
call.
already have an understanding of the work. Why not reskill yourself? Why not learn a few more skills? Why not
Yes,
just
yes,
learn how to get
yes,
printouts or
yes,
present
technique.
it on a PPT and
Oh,
learn to
one
type documents?
yes,
So
sorry.
even though it might look like why we are subjecting such people to do it, but that's just
Yes,
how humans are supposed to be. They are constantly
yes,
out on a search to look for problems and solve them, and to learn and to develop new skills and to move forward with the changing world. That is what is our aim as human, should always be. So
yeah,
I get that question. However, again, my views on that is a different thing. I mean, of course, it's going to be a disadvantage for the veteran lawyer, but then again, for the greater good, it's always expected that people do not sort of get stagnant in their approach, but rather take up a very dynamic approach towards the things. Learn, and learn every day. Okay, so Anirudh also has another question. How can AI be implemented for public policy? So Anirudh, again, the public policy thing is a very fragile and very delicate topic, because public policy in itself a very hassle to bring about, because you have to deal and sort of balance the needs and requirements of everyone into society, which is very difficult task. Let me tell you by my experience. But at the same time, what AI can do is that for public policy, one of the major requirements for bringing out a policy which is well suited to the entire population is data. And data regarding that could span across pages. I am not even telling you that pages like 400, 500, or 1000 pages, but across volumes of pages, which could be close 60, 70,000 pages of data. And AI could be very crucial because it can help us get a pattern or a definite result out of those data which are actually left unanalyzed all this while. Of course, Radhika. I mean, AI is reliable, and again, I mean, it's not infallible, as I've already told. Neither is a human infallible, but AI is much more better at mechanical tasks than a human. So it is reliable, but it depends on the kind of models that we move forward with later on in the developing, as to because AIs also have different models on which they operate, the ways they work, the kinds of information that are fed into them. So that's just one of the things. Apart from that, and I hope I have clarified on the questions. If not, you can always unmute yourself and put up some follow-up questions. Okay, Radhika. So I guess I've already clarified on this, that many jobs would be at stake again. See, that is just a transition thing. As I told you, I am sure, and that's inevitable, that a lot of jobs would be gone. I mean, the mechanical jobs would be surely gone. I mean, if you have robots who could package your things, there won't be requirement for workers in the factory. But at the same time, to look after those robots, you always will need other people. So those workers can sort of upskill themselves and get a better paycheck and a better standard of working as to what they would be doing at that point of time. Does that answer your query? Okay. So are there any other questions?
Audience, if you have any other question, you all can ask.
And I would really be it would be really be appreciative if people can just talk, because I am even a law student. I am in my fourth year. So all we are talking about is just from the experience that we have garnered over the period of time of mine working with the government departments and getting a stage at Y20. So yes. Uh, I guess Mr. Manjunath is trying to speak.
The thing is that did you met with the any professors on the lines of AI or any data science like that?
Oh, yes, Mr. Manjunath. So regarding this, because as I told you, I was working with the white papers and things. So we were at IIT Guwahati. So there were a lot of people who were working on AI models. But again, my idea is very generalized in terms of AI. Reason being that my area of expertise is more into policy and research. So the kind of data sets that we required was the ones we looked forward to. And once
Mm.
we had an idea on the kind of data we had collected and the data which we were shared with, we
Mm.
sort of provided our suggestions on the same.
What else the help you are looking for from us?
Yes, so I mean that's a very I mean because
Big question.
Y20 represents the youth 20. So I guess there are a lot of surveys. I do not know if everyone in this particular call would have been visiting the Y20 websites. If you go to the Y20 website, you will find a lot of surveys. You will find a lot of questions which we are actually pitching forward to the youth because we need answers. And the UN is conducting research on our behalf for collecting responses and analyzing the kind of data that is available there. There are other NGOs which have sort of actively collaborated with us for getting the kind of data that we're looking forward to. So the kind of help that we need is that you can contribute. For example, right now even we have the call for research papers and commentaries ongoing at Y20. So people who wish to submit their intellectual thoughts on the same on the topics which have been on the website can easily visit the Y20 website and submit their views, and we do consider all the views that are sent to us. And if found interesting, we can even call you up for deliberations at the various sessions that we hold, especially the one upcoming at Ladakh in April.
So kind of you. That's great.
Yes. Is there any other question?
Sir, there is a question from Anirudh again. So
Okay.
he's asking, sir, how can we seek internship opportunities at your department?
Okay, so for the research and policy, Anirudh, I guess our majority of the work that we have been doing is already done with. Reason being that we were preparing for the white papers, and the white papers have already been released. However, as I already told you, the call for the research papers and commentaries are already on. And so on that, right now we are not releasing any call for like interns or something. However, I would just request you to keep an eye open at the Y20 website because we'll be posting some vacancies for our internships pretty soon. So you can just go through the requirements, your eligibility criteria, and if you feel that you are eligible for the same, you can apply at the same position. Okay. So we have another question.
Or else, do you have any other question? Either you can unmute yourself and ask, sir, or you can also write in the chat box. Sir, you can continue.
Yes. So just to inform everyone in this meet today, so the Y20 is planning on conducting a like sort of they have a session upcoming in April end at Ladakh. So what we are planning on is that we'll be giving an opportunity to people, especially the students, to participate as delegates, and the call for the same would be released by the mid of March or towards the end of March for the delegates position. And if you believe that you can contribute significantly to the kind of literature, or if you want to provide your research papers or commentaries on any of the themes that the Y20 has already figured out, you can go to the website, look at the submission guidelines, and then actually go and submit your papers for the same. So once you do that, and if you feel that the papers really do have some great depth in the kind of research that will be conducted, you will be more than we will be more than glad to invite you to present your research at that same platform. Okay. So people who are looking forward to opportunity, I guess this could be one of the best ways as to how you can actively collaborate on this. Are there any other questions?
So there are none questions at present.
Okay, okay, fine. So, so Rishita, what else are we supposed to talk about? Just a second, just a second. I just sorry. Yes. So, like now again, I guess we have already talked about the our topic and the Y20 thing. So, is there so? How many of you are actually interested in working for policy and research in the meeting today? Because let me tell you, if you have to be like, if you really want to contribute to your nation as a law student, and if you're not getting into litigation, I am. This is one of the best fields you can work for. So, I see quite a lot of people who are interested in policy, public policy, to be precise. Great. So, I mean, it's wonderful to see because I do not know a lot of people who are interested in policy. So, for like, let me tell you a good way as to how you can start on your pursuit regarding the same. Uh, the first thing is, I'm not sure as to which states you are from, but in most of the states, there the ministries, especially the state ministries, have their call for interns every month. And now, if you go to certain ministries, such as education ministry or ministries related to the, I guess, you get all the other developments person like the urban planning hogi koi ministry or whatever the department comes under. You go to them, you tell them that you're a law student, you want to intern under them. They will surely provide you an opportunity. Now, if you go there, you will see as to how the internal mechanism works because half of us believe that it is a legislature which brings up all these policies, but no, the thing is that these are the bureaucrats or the IAS and the IPS officers posted in the state along with the state officers who actually formulate these policies. That is the legislature which finally deals on them and then makes changes accordingly. So the first step in the ladder to get into this public policy as a profession thing would be for you to go and first work with these government departments and get a very good idea on how these governments function. Once you have an idea of how these governments function, you can ask for extensions or you can work more with them so that they sort of involve you into the process. For me, it was I worked with the education department of my state. Initially, I was provided with very clerical works of just copying, pasting things or like proofreading things. But as soon as I started to indulge more into the internship in 2 months, 3 months down the lane, I was given opportunities where I had the task of going through the legislations in different states and then formulating what could be a better option for us, or like if the existing policy that we have in the particular state is suited to the needs of our state, and if not, how to make changes to it. So it's a bit time consuming process in the very start. However, it can be a very good thing later on, especially for people who are in the later stages of their college life, for example in their third, fourth, fifth year, who do not have so much time in at their disposal. What you can do is that either if you want to not pursue education in the public policy, so like not take up a degree in public policy and just move forward with things, so there is something called as a lamp fellowship. Have you people heard about it, the lamp fellowship? Okay, so lamp fellowship is offered by PRS legislative, which is sort of a lamp. Lamp stands for assistant to member of parliament. Fine. So it's basically a law student, and it's only for law students. At the best point. No, not exactly for law students, but a majority of the people who make it through are law students in their LAMP fellows. So what LAMP fellows do is they sort of actively assist the member of parliament to bring about the changes that they want to do, or like with their day-to-day affairs, which also involves this legislation and public policy thing. So it can be very good opportunity for people in their fourth and fifth year to go and pursue the LAMP fellowship. Otherwise, for the people in the very initial years of law school, what you can do is you can climb on this ladder slowly and steadily. I mean, go with work with the departments, and from the departments move forward to national agencies, from national agencies, and I guess once you are into the national agencies, there will be a lot of opportunity for you, and it will no longer be you applying for positions; it will be people calling you for helping them out. So this is how you bring with your public policy. And the third option is again the formal route of getting your degree. So once you're done with your law or whatever field you're pursuing your education in, you can apply for a master in public policy and from there you can sort of study of the how the public policy works. Very good institute I would say for this is the Tata Institute of Social Science, TIS, Mumbai. Sorry, TIS institute, and it's one of the best institutes out there. Apart from that, there are also courses in like outside India in the Ivy League universities. Then we also have other universities in UK which give the same kind of thing. So public policy, I would say, is something which is very demanding of a field, if you ask me, because you will never have a day off. You will have loads of data, you will have loads of ideas, you will have loads of problems, and then you will also have a lot of issues to deal with. So as they call it, you might feel that okay, you have to do XYZ, so why not just ban this up? But then again, there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration: the law of the country, the bureaucratic ego, the legislative ego, the judicial ego, and how to balance all these things while formulating a policy for the same. So that's one of the things you could do. And Baki, I am pretty sure that most of the people would be good at networking on LinkedIn. So if you find people who have been doing well in the public policy, just go and ask them for help or guidance, and they surely will assist you with that. So, does anyone have any questions related to policy?
No, sir, not exactly on policy, but we do have a question.
Yes,
So,
yes, sure.
Abhirup Mandal is asking that do we not need certain kind of restrictions and regulations on AI?
Okay, so again, no, for example, if you would go to like for example, if you go to the different kinds of policy documents that India adopts, one of them would be regarding data, non-personal data management policy for India, and Niti Aayog keeps on bringing Niti Aayog MITI keeps on bringing all these regulations and policy as to how to deal with data, how to deal with AI. So I don't think I mean the government also knows for a fact that AI need to be bound by regulations and restrictions. So because of the fact that it's not well integrated as of now in the day-to-day working, so we are a bit slow on pace. However, if you just go and search on the various policies the government has released off late, you will see that the regulations and restrictions do exist already, or they have started to exist in the what kind of data you can feed into the AI, what kind of tasks the AI can be delegated into, or the kind of security standards that an AI is supposed to have. So there are already regulations and restrictions, and I guess the same would keep on evolving over time as and when the need for the same comes into the picture.
Audience, do you have any questions? Then you can say right now.
And I guess it will be really appreciable if you can just talk out, because see, even I am a student right now dealing with my own problems, academic life, all the policy things. It's not something very difficult. All it takes is persistence and patience in your field. Public policy, if you have like I have seen so many people who are really enthusiastic towards the same, I can tell you have to be very patient if you are into public policy, because there will be days when you will find that there are no opportunities, and then there will be days when you will be like which opportunity to choose from the pool which is already available to us. Are there any other questions anyone would like to ask? Sure, Anirudh, we will be looking forward to your submissions. And I would really encourage everyone to write for it, because I do not know when this opportunity will again come to us. I mean, India getting the presidency yet again. So, and also something which we need to understand is that India is no longer India what it used to be 5 years back or even a decade back. We now have a very good standing in the international sphere, and we have Anirudh, I guess all the guidelines the same would be on the website itself. So you can just look it up, because I'm also not well versed with the guidelines, because I will be the screening team only. So also guys, if you are looking forward to a lot of things, understand this, that India has grown out from the idea of a nation which was just another in the list of names, except from the western countries. We now have a very strong position in the international sphere. We have really great standing in uh, the kind of organizations we are a part of. So I am pretty sure that if you want to enter into the diplomacy or the kind of public policy, even, it's really a great time to jump into it, because we would, India, not we, India would need people like us to be a part of it, because we are the youth and it's our responsibility to do things for the same. So I hope everyone would contribute their bit.
So can you just give some tips on writing the research paper so that like our paper gets selected?
Okay, yeah. So I will suggest that before you write for the Y20, you should first go and understand what do you say, a lot of things regarding, I mean, the kind of idea behind Y20 and the themes that is selected. So if you go to YouTube, you will find a lot of sessions there, technical sessions and other things, where you can go through them and listen to why certain topics were only selected for these particular what do you say, these particular sub themes, that there are five sub themes in total which have been selected for deliberation. So you first have to get an idea on them, and because you have to write your papers on one of those themes only, right? So once you do that, so you will have a greater idea of I mean, once you know why that topic was brought in, so when you write your content, you should align it with the same. And I guess I do not know if the deadline for same is existing right now, but so there will be 2 or 3 more upcoming research paper submissions. So if the deadline for the Leh session has passed already, you can always submit for the Varanasi and the Goa session, which will be taking place in the upcoming months. So just keep in mind that you have to write something which adds to the existing literature, which just doesn't add to the existing literature. It's something very out of the box. Or you can always suggest, you can always include more statistics, more data, and something in a way which helps the people of the different other countries to understand what India is. So that could be a very good thing for you to keep into mind while writing your papers.
Are there any other questions?
Wonderful, wonderful.
So I would like to thank give you the thank note. Your session was definitely very wonderful. On behalf of the amicus curie, I would like to express my sincere thanks for your presence in our session. Your insights and expertise were invaluable and greatly appreciated. As someone who is deeply interested in current events and the issues and that shape our world, I found your talk to be both enlightening and to be informative. We feel very fortunate to have with you to give the opportunity to hear from you on these issues. Once again, thank you for your time, insights, passions for the session. We are grateful for the opportunity to have you as a guest speaker today, and we hope that we would get a chance to work with you again in the future. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thanks a lot, Rishita, for your kind words, and I also thank the entire team for having called me up in here. And it was a really great experience sharing my experience with everyone in this field. Apart from that, everyone who's a part of the session can always connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can surely do our parts when it comes to helping everyone with the kind of things they are. Once again, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining, and thank you, the team, for giving me this opportunity. Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.